Okay, Coach Amy, first of all, thanks for taking the call. Thank you, and congratulations on winning the WPSL National Championship. Before we
Well,
get
thank you
into
so much.
before we get into all the details, just give me a little bit of background information on you and your history with Cal Storm.
Let's see. My name is Jamie Levoy, and I've been coaching for, gosh, I'm going to say it's about 25 years now. And started at the club level and everything, and coached at a small college for 10 years. And during that time, I had heard about the California Storm, and I got in touch with the owner, Jerry Zanelli, and learned he was the founder of the whole WPSL, the Women's Premier Soccer League, and owned the Storm. And I said, hey, I love coaching. I'm passionate about it, and I really want to be involved. And that was, I think I just hit 15 years ago. And so he's like, yeah, we'll see. And so I was like, well, whatever you need, I'll shag balls, like anything you need just to, to be involved in this program. So I started very at the entry level, basically. And after a couple of times, me and him would have some soccer conversations, and he realized, okay, you know a little bit about coaching. And I was like, yeah, like, so we talked tactics and things, and then he ended up bringing me on the bench as an assistant, and I was just in awe, of the players. And I mean, you had, Cece out there, and Brandy Chastain, and Leslie Osborne, and I just, all these incredible athletes, Alex Morgan at the time. And so I was just thrilled to be involved at any capacity at that point. And so Jerry kept getting me more and more involved, and then would, hey, okay, you give the halftime talk, like on the spot. I was like, wait, what? So then I got to, give the team different tactics, the things to work on and whatnot. And then when Jerry, he was an elderly gentleman and had some health issues and stuff. And so when he was getting ready to pass along, he said, I want to give you my most precious thing, and that's the California Storm. And I was like blown away, because there's so many incredible people that came through this program, and he knew everybody. I mean, anybody from Jerry Smith at Santa Clara, to Paul at Stanford, to Anson Dorrance over in North Carolina. He knew everybody. And I thought, okay, yeah, we'll see, like, yeah, I don't know if he really knows these people, or it's just a name dropper. But when he was getting ready to pass, all these people, started calling and sending him messages, and players from the U.S. women's national team were calling and saying the impact that he had on their lives and on the game. And he just looked at me and just started crying, and was like, I didn't realize the impact I have had on this game. And I think that's when he realized it for the first time, and when I realized it too. So I took it very personal when he left me the team, that, he created this amazing platform for women, and for girls getting ready for college, and just so many different people that we could reach with this, that I really wanted to honor him. I wanted to honor his message, and wanted to grow it the best that I could. So when I took over, I reached out immediately to, Cece and Brandy Chastain and Leslie Osborne, and said, will you please be on my board of directors? I really, need to have some credibility going into this, because everybody was looking at me like, well, who's this girl? This amazing team, with 3 national titles and everything, had these amazing players play for it. They're looking at me like, why would Jerry leave the team to you? And so I felt like I had a lot to prove. And it was a little stressful, but also I love the challenge. And I got them on board, and it means the world to me that they bought in and really helped guide me through the process. And so just basically took what great foundation we had and expanded on that. So sorry if I got a little long-winded.
No, and it's all really good information. When you zoom out of it, right, you kind of see how everything kind of shaped out to be, right, especially with this season, because you have the people behind you. You are someone that loves and cherishes the club, right? It's not just, somebody kind of coming in and out. And so that's why when I was doing a little bit of research, right? I mean, I was reading that it was the first time in 18 years that Cal Storm had won the national championship. And I mean, you were part of that. You did it, right? So how was that? How was this season more than anything? Because I know there were, new players, recognizable players came in. For example, Janae Gonzalez, right? She has professional experience. And she ended up being the MVP of the game. How was this season more than anything?
The season was incredible. It was it I really attribute everything to culture, and these girls just really supported each other. If like we got scored on, it was like nobody was pointing fingers. And I saw that, a lot with other teams, like pointing fingers and yelling at each other. With our team, it was like, hey, shake that one off. We'll get it. That's not going to happen again. It's okay. And they lift each other up. I really didn't see anybody getting upset with each other. So, you said that, I did the national championship. I see it as it was such a big collective unit. I'm one small piece of that total collective unit. And without all these other pieces, none of this would have been possible. So, it goes from, Janae Gonzalez to maybe somebody who never even got to step foot on the field. It was everybody had a role and supported each other in that, to, the people that work in the team store, to people that volunteer to shag balls at games. It's a collective unit that really I attribute this national title to.
And speaking of culture, how, I know it's a short season. I know it's players try to stay involved in the game at a high level, especially college players, right? They use the summer to improve, to get better. When you talk about culture and when you talk about recruiting or getting players to come out here, how is that process? And I mean, did you do anything from previous years that you did this year that, you kind of gathered this team to be what it ended up being?
I think it's kind of a snowball of, what we tried to build when in 2018 when I first took over. I think it's the fruition of everybody's efforts even back then. So, it's I tried to get Janae to play for me for like 5 years now, and I finally, this is the second year. So I definitely I think it's just been an accumulation of all the work of everybody coming to this play and really establishing our role of, a lot of people think, okay, this is just a place for college players or high school players getting ready to go to college. And to me, I see it as so much more than that. I see it as being a former athlete playing in college. You go through something, it's like soccer's been your whole life playing at this high competitive level. And then all of a sudden, when your playing career is over, you're like, okay, who am I now? Like, it's almost like you really question your own identity. And so I want this to also be a place for those who are post college, maybe post playing in the NWSL or overseas or wherever. I want this to be a place for everybody. Maybe if you had an injury and you're, working on your recovery so you can get back into the professional game, this is a great place where we can give you the resources to build your confidence back up and give you the different training tools. And so to me, I see it more as it's just a resource for all female athletes.
Right. Yeah. And maybe I came up short by just saying it's for college players, right? Because you did mention, and I did read that you guys have a player that's been with the team for over 10 years, and
Yeah.
she self-proclaims herself as the old lady, right? But she can still play, right? I
Oh,
mean,
she's a
that's part
baller.
of the
Yeah,
culture, right?
Dr. Haley Bedford. Yeah, Dr.
That's
Haley
part of that.
Bedford.
Yeah, that's part of the culture that you talk about, just the mold of different players. Coach, besides the national championship, what were some of the most memorable moments that you had this season? That were just kind of like a turning point, or maybe you saw it, right? I'm sure you saw a point or a moment during the season that you were like, this team is special, or, you know, we're going to get really close to at least getting into the national championship?
I think, you know, something that was a turning point for us, because the team is all they're very good. But it's easy for teams to also get complacent. And you know, in our Pac North conference final, we totally dominated a team, outshot them and everything, but it ended up going to PKs, you know, when teams bunker in, and sometimes that just happens. And I knew ahead of time that even if we lost the game, we would still be going as a wild card into the national tournament, just because of being undefeated and having, you know, great record. Um, so we ended up losing in PKs, which it was very uncharacteristic of the team. But I didn't tell them ahead of time because I wanted them to have those high pressure moments and to have to try to work through those. And because you can't recreate that in training. And so when you know, we lost the advancement through PKs, the girls were just devastated. And I said, okay, hold on, you know, you can be sad for 30 seconds, but let me tell you something. You're still going to regionals because you guys, you know, you're going into all this as the #1 seed. And they were like, wait, what? Like, you know, and so I think that was actually a great moment for the team because they hadn't lost. They, you know, they were just so used to being at that. So that moment of having them feel like, okay, we can be vulnerable, you know, even if teams bunker us or whatever, it can happen. So we've got to learn to fight through this. And that made them hungry. And so I really attribute, you know, that game as the turning point for them. But it's just, they're a phenomenal group of girls. They're just so supportive of each other. And I think just overall, my most memorable event, you know, or times were just watching them interact. It wasn't even, you know, necessarily the soccer stuff, the way they'd razz each other if they megged somebody or, you know, something like that, but just the support they had for each other, and that they each recognized that each person was in a different place in their journey. And the veteran players really, you know, took the players that were about to go into college under their wing and talk to them. Hey, this is my experience at that college, and these are some things to give you a heads up that you want to prepare for. And it really, you know, talking about those players now, it gave them that edge going into preseason with their colleges, because they had this heads up and they trained at a very high level over summer. So I've been getting a lot of, you know, just thank you for the great environment, and I'm so excited, and it really, you know, I'm prepped, and I really feel like I'm going to be an impact this season. So to me, I mean, that's so rewarding.
Yeah, no, certainly. And then, I mean, I'm sure we're getting the experience to travel and play for the semifinals and the finals in Oklahoma, right? I mean, because you guys don't travel necessarily outside of the region during the season. How was that trip? Obviously, you guys, you know, topped it off with the national championship, but you know, overall, just kind of how was getting on the plane, getting to travel with the team?
Oh, it's you know, a lot of the veteran players were like, I feel like I'm back in college, you know, like they just loved it. It was great. It was a kind of a rat race to try to find flights for everybody, to, you know, into the airport, into Stillwater, Oklahoma. And so trying to coordinate. And then we had several players like Dr. Betancourt, who, you know, still had shifts to cover. And so we had to fly her in later. And Madison Asen, who was running the Stanford camps, and so she had to come in later. And so just trying to coordinate with everybody, it was a little hectic, but the energy, and to see the girls just, you know, prepping in the airport, they're sitting there with, you know, their laptops, and they've got, you know, the different game, the Euros on, and so it was really neat to see them kind of in their own element, but all at the same time together, you know.
Yeah, Coach Jamie, you've seen and you've been around the game for so long, the women's game. How has it grown for those people that aren't familiar with the women's game? From your point of view, how has it grown? Obviously, you guys have played a role in that, in developing players and having players go through your ranks and be on the professional levels right now, right? How has it grown from your point of view?
It's grown drastically. I mean, you know, you definitely attribute, I remember watching, you know, being a coach, with the, you know, the 99 World Cup and all that, and Brandy and those guys and Cece. And so to see the game, the excitement around women's soccer, it gives me goosebumps, because I really feel like it's gotten so much more respect, and it's not just, okay, we're out kicking a ball, trying to put it in the back of the net. No, there's so many tactics that go along with it. I feel like the women's side, it's gotten to be a more physical game than it maybe used to be. The speed of play also is definitely quicker. Um, and the technical aspects, you see players using more surfaces of the foot than they used to. So it's drastically changed, and the coverage that we're finally getting for the women's game, it's amazing, but it's still not where it needs to be. So people like you, we're very grateful, for bringing the women's game to light, because these women, they're doing incredible things. They're, some of the stuff that we're seeing out there. Janae Gonzalez, you talked about, I think it was when she played in the U17 World Cup, she had like the World Cup goal of the game, or world, was that the goal of the World Cup? So different things like that. These women are so extremely talented. It's just that more people need to know about it. But it's super fun to watch. I always enjoyed watching women's soccer, but it's on a whole nother level now. And look at the numbers for like the Euros and different games like that. It's incredible. It's competing and surpassing men's games. No offense.
Yeah. There's definitely been a notable growth in the women's game, and the U.S. women's national team has done a great job kind of setting the standard and pushing that bar, right? Before it was, you have Germany, you have England on the women's side, and so now it's the U.S. women's national team setting the standard on that. And also speaking about professional sports, I know there's been rumors and talks about bringing an NWSL team to the Bay Area. But maybe looking down the road, I don't know, how do you feel about that, and maybe Cal Storm being part of that process as well, right? Because it could certainly be still an organization that impacts the professional game here once it comes to the Bay Area, or maybe Sacramento. Maybe it comes to Sacramento.
Absolutely. I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually a founding investor for the NWSL Bay Area team.
Okay.
And so I'm very excited about that project. It's been in the works for several years now, and creating opportunities for women is something that I'm extremely passionate about. Storm will not be that team, because I think that there's a place for Storm. There's a place for everybody. And I want to continue to grow what we're doing with Storm. I want to funnel players to the NWSL. I want to create this a place where there's just a lot of resources for women. And I feel like, given this opportunity to run this organization, it's given me that. It's allowed me to create different avenues to help the overall player, not just the X's and O's side of things, but look at mental health and, give just more resources of, at the strength and agility training and injury prevention, stuff like that. Maybe that not other organizations can provide. So to me, there's just not enough of that. And so I'm so excited to be running this, but I also do want Storm to be a stepping stone for those athletes to go to the next level.
Right.
So I think it's fantastic. We absolutely need a team in the Bay Area. You look at the buzz around women's soccer, and it's needed. It's needed. And the girls in the community need to see that their dreams are attainable. And if we give them the athletes and create these opportunities for women, then they will dream as well.
Right. And then there's more of a clear pathway now, right? It's not, now there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of leagues and programs that can provide that. Or maybe before it was a little bit just harder to get, identified. And so
Right.
when you mentioned Cal Storm being, kind of like in that pathway for the professional game, well, that just kind of, reinstates what you have been doing. So like you mentioned, there's a place for everybody. now the final topic that I would want to touch is the national championship game and how that was. Just kind of walk us through some of the moments that you guys were in there that maybe the fan that was just kind of tuning in from the phone on the live stream didn't really get to see.
It was, going into this, I just felt like whatever happens, happens. Like obviously everybody wants that national championship, but I really felt like just to be in that atmosphere was such a blessing. And so every game I told the girls, have fun. Like that's what it's about. That's why you're here. And they look at me like, okay, yeah, but we want to compete. Let's go. They wouldn't be satisfied with anything less. Sorry, I've got a cold. So the girls were not, I was more nervous for them and they were more just excited and hungry to go. Sorry, I got a little tickle. Hopefully you can edit this.
Yeah.
Like the locker room vibes, everything, they had their music and they were dancing and eating their protein and just super hyped, like let's go. And then we, in the first game, we came out and Janae put in this gorgeous free kick and put us up 1-0. And then all of a sudden there was these severe thunder showers and lightning and so we had to go into the locker room and they would tell us.
It was a long delay. And it was a long delay, right?
2 hours and 20 minutes. And so we the girls are in there and they're playing their music and they're playing ping pong and they had like a little video game PlayStation. So luckily we got the home locker room that had everything. So it wasn't as bad for us, I think, as the visitors. They didn't have anything in theirs. Just because that's how the college had it set up, you take care of your home. And but the girls dancing and everything, I think it really kept them loose. But every time that there would be like a lightning strike, it would reset a half hour. So it ended up being 2 hours and 20 minutes. And so that was a little stressful.
I'm probably making you talk way more than I should.
You're good. I just haven't talked a lot since, I'm not COVID anymore, but I'm getting over it. So
yeah.
So the girls, they were getting antsy, like, can we go? And then finally we were able to play. And they played their hearts out, and a very good game. It's a very good team, Nashville. They have a lot of offensive threats, and we knew that going into the game. They extremely mobile, and we knew that key was catch them on the counterattack. But huge tribute to the team, especially defensively as a unit. They were really good about forcing pressure to one side and then looking to capitalize on the mistakes. But yeah, that was a pretty wild game, and I think that game was actually tougher than our national championship game.
We'll see what kind of quality can produce here.
And then I think going into the next game, they were like, okay, yeah, we did it, but we still got another game. So we stayed and watched the teams battle it out. But by that time, I think it was like midnight or something because of the delays for that game. So we got about halfway through and the girls were like, we just need to go. We need to go shower. So Chris and I, we're staying up and watching film and watching the team play and doing all the tactics for that. And then the championship game, I was like, okay, worst we can do is number 2, right? Like I try to I'm one of those people. I always think, okay, worst case scenario. That way, you're not disappointed, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're thinking, oh, second's the first loser. And it's like, no, but you're still number 2 in the country. That's something to be extremely proud of.
Right.
And so, I tried that approach with the girls and they're like, no, it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. And going into the game, they were very focused. They, you could tell they didn't have like a weight on them or anything. It was like, we know what we got to do and we're going to do it, and they all watched film separately. And we also sent them some clips to study. And so, we go out there and as a coach, you're like, am I doing the right lineup or am I, making a mistake with this formation, or should I have done this, or maybe we should have worked on this more in training. And so you kind of second guess yourself a little bit on things. But I just said, it's in their hands. At the end of the day, we prepped them and they got it. And they owned it. They rocked that game. They played so amazing. The first goal was a beautiful corner kick from Janae Gonzalez to Alex Kloss with the header, and just chipped over the keeper. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like we just scored in a national championship game. And then we keep playing, and then they ended up getting a goal, and it was like, oh geez, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe we're not gonna, okay, we're gonna end up losing this game, but me thinking worst case scenario again. But the girls were like, no, they almost looked more mad, like, oh, that was frustrating. Okay, now let's go, And then they went and got two great goals. I mean, Janae hit a hard shot off of took the keeper 1v1, and the keeper made a great save, but wasn't able to hold on to it. And Brenda, she just ran through and put it away. It was like, okay, wait, now we're winning. Now it's 2-1. Okay, can we hold on to this? And then a little bit later on, Janae plays a ball in, and it's short and it gets played out. And then she sends another one in, and Maddie's in front of the goalie, kind of blocking. And the ball pops out to Mitzi, and Mitzi just hits it home. And it was like, that's when it started to sink in, like
3-1.
We're gonna 3-1. We're gonna actually do this. Like, and it was very emotional for me because, like, Jerry started the whole WPSL, and he trusted me to take this team on. And so I felt like it was a tribute to him and to, everybody said, we're bringing Jerry home. We've got Jerry home, and that's where he needs to be. And so I love that the WPSL named the cup after him, the Jerry Zanelli Cup. And so it's really special. So, and just to like run around the girls, I mean, the tears afterwards, that when they blew that final whistle, it was just like so much adrenaline and so much relief and just all this stuff to be a national champion. Like, how many people can say that?
Right.
It's so incredible, and something that these women can add to their resume. It's huge.
Right.
So it was really neat to see all the different paths that they've been on. For some, it was more emotional than others, because they've dealt with injuries, or they never thought they'd be on this stage, since they're post-college. And so that was extremely special.
I was gonna actually, ask you who you would pay tribute to with this championship, but you just mentioned it. Anything else that you would like to add that maybe I didn't ask you that you would like to mention, in regards to the team, in regards to women's soccer and the growth, anything?
I would say, we couldn't do this without like our partners. And it means the world when you have, these businesses and companies that are investing in women's soccer. It's without them, we couldn't provide the resources for these women, and they're deserving. We need to do more of that. So, like Davis Legacy is a huge partner for us. They've provided immaculate training fields for these women. And they're just a wonderful partner to work with, Justin and Robo and Jesus and all those guys that are over there. Puma's been great, really taking care of the women with great gear, honey stinger, boards. I mean, I could go on. We've just been really blessed with all of them. And I think it's important to also note, like the captains, I think they really, Elizabeth Hutchison and Janae, they really help create that culture, because we can say stuff till we're blue in the face, right? And we could, preach culture, but it really comes down to if the team is bought in and how they feel. And the captains have really just made a great environment for the rest of the girls. So I attribute everything, to them and everybody that's been involved. So this trophy, it's for everybody. It's not just a, one person or one key thing that we do in a game. It's accumulation of so many things.